everybody, my name is Kalle Slaap and I'm a watchmaker here in the Netherlands, and today a video about a controversial topic: watch parts. Watchmakers have a love-hate relationship with watch parts. We really do need them, but if you can find them and if you can find the exact type, can be cumbersome. So I'm trying to help you what to look for, especially what not to look for, and well, give you a bit more insight about the relationship between watchmaking and watch parts. I told you, controversial topic. I've been thinking about making this video for quite some time. A few colleagues said, well, stay away of this topic. But I want to show you the full scale of watchmaking, and watch parts is an important part of watchmaking. So I decided to tell you a bit more about it. I respect everybody's opinion. This happens to be mine, so bear with me, because there's a lot to say about watch parts. Most important, I'm going to tell you about how to buy watch parts, where to find them, how to store them. It's interesting, and well, a bit about a wholesale, a bit about eBay, and I think it's an interesting story. And it will be helpful, because a watch repair is about speed. You have to make money, well, then you have to be a bit fast in repairing watches. Finding the watch parts is part of the repair process. So if you have the parts in-house and if you can find them, it's part of the repair process, and that means speed and that means money. So bear with me, it is interesting and important. The interesting part in watchmaking and watch parts is the interchangeability. I want to show you a bit more about what terms they are using as a professional watchmaker, and hopefully for you to find it, to make it easier to find your watch parts, because there is some standardization, and I want to show you. Well, this is a book I use regularly. It is from '69, but still very useful, because all watch parts are numbered, and those numbers are standardized. So the main plate, platine, is always number 100. So all parts that you can find, like the center wheel, is always 200. So that makes it so much easier. No matter what brand, no matter what make, no matter what period is from, the center wheel is always number 200. And that is because, well, watchmaking is international. Even in only Switzerland there are many languages. So try to find this. It must be online or to find somewhere, but be aware that watch parts are numbered, and those numbers are standardized. That is important. So now you know what part to look for, what number to look for. And again, it's standardized, so no matter what brand, this is always the same. If you buy watch parts, the only way it's valuable is when you know what it is, so then you know where to find it. So these are winding stems, quite a few, but nobody knows the brand, which caliber. If you ask me, do you have the winding stem? Well, probably, but I don't know. And I'm not going to pick up every single one and try to see if it fits. So if you buy watch parts like this, there is no value. You really have to measure them and categorize them, then it becomes valuable. Same as this. Yeah, I don't know what it is, so there's no speed involved in finding the watch parts until it is branded and or categorized. Then they see there FHF, Shield. Now we're getting somewhere. PUV. Now we know what they are, so now we can find them. They are categorized. So in this way, watch parts are far more valuable than just like this and nobody knows what it is. I hope that makes sense. I want to tell you a bit more about the language that is being used in watch parts. For say this one. Well, we know it's a number 203. Well, remember 200 was the center wheel, so we can look up in the book what number 203 means, and then we know what part it is. But there's so much more information on this blister. There is so much more information on this blister. Now we know the brand of the movement, ETA. Here we have the size of the movement in linie. That is, this part fits 10.5 and 11.5 linie, and this is the caliber number. The caliber is the model of the movement. And now, interesting and valuable information, because here we can see, we call it here the family tree, and that means it is made for the 2390 caliber from ETA, but it fits as well in the 91, 2408, 2409. So even if you have looking for a part for the 2454, this is the base model, family tree. So this part fits in these calibers as well, and that is helpful. So you don't have to look for the parts for these, but you can immediately go to this caliber number, and this one fits in there. Interchangeability. So the information we see is the manufacturer, ETA, the size of the movement, 10.5, 11.5 linie, the caliber number, the model of movement, 2390. Here we can see the part it is, the intermediate wheel. The intermediate wheel is part number 203. And here is the family tree. This one is interchangeable with all these other calibers. And that is interesting information. These ones are usually sold as new old stock. That means it is produced a long time ago, but never been sold. And so it's new, never used, but old stock. It's been produced some time ago, and now it is sold as new. Now we mentioned a few terms being used in watch parts. That is interchangeability, the brand that produced the watch parts, the caliber, that is the model of the movement, We have seen the different numbers corresponding with watch parts, which are standardized, and that helps us finding watch parts. But then they are euphorically called generic parts. What does that mean? Generic parts, if I want to be a bit ugly, it's replica parts. Parts being produced not by the supplier, not by the maker of the movement, but just a complete different factory, and that is replicating watch parts. Now a very hot topic for example, a Rolex. But take into account, it might fit, but usually, there are exceptions, usually the material isn't of the best quality or isn't not even comparable to the original. So usually, again, they are exceptions. Generic watch parts are of lesser quality than the original or the original new old stock, because it is a replica part, and that means generic. I started by saying it's a controversial topic, which it is, because large manufacturers like ETA from the Swatch Group won't supply watch parts to professional watchmakers, only if you're associated with their company. So an independent watchmaker will not be supplied with watch parts. Again, controversial. Many people have their vision. Well, I have one myself. Main reason, they say it's to ensure the quality of the repair. There are many very accomplished watchmakers worldwide, usually even trained by the original factory, and but I think is they want to have the repairs all by themselves, which is okay, but there's a problem, and that is a management problem or creators problem, not technical or by the engineers. I think that the large brands don't realize the volume of the repairs, simply the amount of watches that has to be repaired daily, in the 10,000s, maybe more. Especially in the future, watchmakers, we need a new generation because of the aging of the watchmakers. Well, I'm just about 50, but most of my watchmaker colleagues are 5 to 10 to 15 years older. And that is going to be a problem. We need the next generation of watchmakers, especially in vintage, because vintage watch repair always is after the sale. So you buy a watch, mechanical vintage or whatever, and it needs maintenance every 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, who knows. If you're into this, please have a look at the lubrication videos we made on our YouTube channel Chronoglide. But the vintage watch market has exploded. The value and the amount of vintage watches that are being sold is just mind-boggling, and I love that because I love vintage watches. But if you pay 1,000 euros or dollars, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 20,000, 40,000 euros, or even you're really happy with a watch from 200 euros, why not? It needs maintenance within a few years. So all the watches, the complete explosion of vintage watches that's happening a few years ago, the tsunami of watch repair is coming our way. The amount of watchmakers is just getting less, experienced professional watchmakers, and the amount of work is staggering. So who is going to do the work? And I am convinced within a few years, if the main producers want to keep all the repairs themselves, there's no way they can do that, because vintage watch repair is something completely different than industrial putting together of watches assembly. Every part fits, everything is new, you put it together, you lubricate it, and then it runs for many years. But vintage watch repair, there's wear, there's tear, there are defects. If you learn an inexperienced watchmaker to disassemble a watch and put it back together, the defect will still be there. So you need an experienced watchmaker who can find the defect and resolve the problem for vintage watch repair. And I think the main producers, mainly Swiss factories, don't realize the amount of work that is coming their way. Another hot topic is the right to repair. You buy a product, then you have the right that it can be repaired, and there is a monopoly at the moment because most producers won't supply watch parts. So it's a monopoly. You have to go there to get your watch repaired. Or of course an experienced independent watchmaker. But still, you have the right to repair your own watch property. So that's why controversial watch parts, there's a lot to say and a lot to do. Final thought is how to store watch parts. I just showed you these are original blisters. The front is always paper, and that absorbs a bit of moisture, so there's no rust in those blisters. But if you have watch parts, for example, stored like this, then it's wise that you store them in a constant temperature, which is important. And usually watchmakers store watch parts in wooden cabinets, because the wood makes the moisture more stable and less prone to oxidation. So wooden cabinets is ideal, and a constant temperature, which is nice, and then watch parts keep for many years. And then where you can find your watch parts, that is important. Like I discussed, most producers won't supply to anybody. You need to be a professional watchmaker. You need a VAT number. You cannot just order some parts. But then again, with the digital revolution, there are so many watch parts on eBay, on other sites. You can find them over there if you know what to look for. So older watchmakers who say, well, it's impossible to find watch parts anymore, not really true if you are aware of the digital highway and you know where to find your parts online. There is so much to find. To be honest, watch parts are going to be a problem, a challenge for watchmakers, and that made me decide that I want to be able to make every single watch parts in the authentic way on the authentic machines in our own workshop. So I value my independency hugely. Again, we're not sponsored in any way, but the watch parts and how to find them made me decide I want to be able to make every single part myself. As a restoration workshop, we have to make every single part ourselves in the original way and authentic. I really do hope this is helpful, that it makes your life a bit easier how to find watch parts, where to find watch parts, what to look for, what does caliber means, the size in ligne, for example, and the standardized numbers, which is important. So if there are any questions, please leave them in the comments. We love to read your comments. And well, I hope this was helpful. Hope to see you soon. See you. Bye bye.